Hey everybody, Cliff here. People have been asking me for a while to do my own video on how I use the Wicked Edge. I've been putting it off, but I don't have any reason not to anymore. I've got, this is a Boker Quaken. It's my own knife. It's a carbon fiber handle and stone-washed acid finish. The original angle, I was just going to match the angles on it, and the original angle when I measured it was at about 24 degrees per side, which to me is ridiculous. I am not chopping wood with this thing. It is not a survival knife. It's really just a showpiece knife. I'll probably be opening letters with it. That's about its the tasks I'll be doing with it. Oops, sorry about that. I wanted to show you the setup. I'll try and get right into this and quit rambling on. Start with my setup. This is my, these are a lot of the little things that we can do to our Wicked Edge. I've got RC car dust boots. I think these are $5 or $10 each. A little rubber grommet that helps with the cushioning right here. This is a stop collar, and the stop collar I use so that when you put the stone on the blade, I do have two riser blocks, so the knife sits up a little higher than normal. It allows for that wider sweep or curve to the blade, but also the stone, if you don't have that riser block on it, the stone will actually hit down on the face of the blade and scratch it all up. So I use this little plastic collar. I drilled and tapped a little plastic nylon screw, put it in there. If I need to raise it up higher and lock it in place, I can do that as well. So that's just my setup. Down here, this screw is the different screw. It came with the original arms. I like it because I can grab it and untwist and lock it back in place. I've got a little Allen wrench screw for the micro adjust, and the Allen wrench screw is glued on, and then these are little wire nuts that I've plastic dipped just so it looks nice. So that's how I do my quick adjustments. I unloose. There's a small piece of nylon in there as to cushion between the threads, and that is something to keep an eye on. Every once in a while I'll pull this little piece out and take a peek and make sure I've still got my nylon is still inside there. Oops. Okay, so that's locked down. One of the things with my own sharpening that I like to do is I like to make sure this thing is solid. If you over tighten the vise, you can bend the vise. I use a Torx bit here. I guess it should be an Allen wrench, but when I get everything in place on my system, I tighten everything down, and that's before I start sharpening. I just like to make sure everything is tight. This is the Tormex small knife adapter. We've seen it. Other people, a lot of guys have been using it. I really like it. It does have a little bit of flex, and I mean just a tiny bit, but it clamps on the handle, so you're not damaging the knife blade, you're not scratching, you don't have to worry about it, and it gives you full access to what you're trying to sharpen. So it's been perfectly centered. I measured with my angle cube. It's been aligned. It's right down the barrel, and then I carefully measured to each side 20 degrees. And that's when I realized that we'll be taking quite a little bit of meat off the side of the blade as I reprofile it. So here's kind of what I'm starting with. And I haven't marked. I'm going to do a full mark on it. And what I hope to do is show you something in this video you haven't seen in other videos. Not just me grinding and grinding with the paddles, but show you under the scope what it looks like and try and be as quick about it as possible. Hold on, I'll get set up here. Okay, like they say, there's nothing to it but to do it. what, but being on camera makes it so nervous, but I've done this enough times. I've got my marker. I'm going to go ahead and mark up the full edge. And I go down over onto the shoulder because I know I'm going to be thinning the bevel, secondary bevel, so I want to make sure I get some marker down there so I can really see what work I'm going to be doing. I have two sets of 100 grit stones. I have a brand new set of 100 grits that I use when I really need to do the work, and I have a worn in set of 100, 200 grit paddles. For this, I'm going to start with the worn in 100 paddles and just see what kind of work I do. Okay, I taped off up above, taped off the sides, and taped this. This will stop any metal filings or anything from getting down in there, and also prevents me from, if I come back a little too far, this is going to stop it. The Tormek small knife adapter will stop it. But also this helps so I don't do any scratches anywhere I don't want it. I did switch over to the coarser grit 100, 200s, and just started going down. I am going down at an angle. I'm just moving right down the side. I'm keeping track that both the left and the right side are keeping the same width of the secondary bevel. You can grind too much on one side and you'll end up with a short and a high side, a long side. Tip is still pointy, and it's about halfway there to having the what I call the primary secondary bevel grind done, which means the bulk of the work. This is where the bulk of the work actually happens. The rest is just scratch removal. I am going to apex it at 100, and then I am going to come back and knock that apex off and bring it back in again, probably somewhere in the middle. And I usually do it at about 1,000 grit before I shift to the lapping foams. Let me show you what this looks like on the scope real quick. Okay, let me put the scope on it. Okay, here's what the primary bevel looks like. I'm sorry, secondary bevel looks like with what I call the primary grind, the 100 grit grind. You can see down at the bottom where the Sharpie is still there. You can still see the Sharpie up at the top. Haven't come close, so I would, 2/3, 3/4 of the way there. I'm going to go ahead and just very gently and very carefully, let me roll down the blade a little bit. So it's pretty uniform along the entire edge. I'm going to go ahead and finish both sides until I've got the 100 grit completely up to the top, all the Sharpie, and that last little bit of black Sharpie along that top edge can hide there like you wouldn't believe. You'll think you've got the thing apexed, and people say, well, why isn't my knife getting sharp after you go all the way up to 1,000 grits? Because you didn't get the last little bit of that black Sharpie right up off the tippy top. I'm going to go ahead and finish. I'll go back to the sharpening and be right back. Working my way down the blade. I'm holding down at the bottom, and that way I make sure I get a nice flat edge. Sometimes I put my finger right here, and that'll stop me from rolling off the end if I'm doing a little bit of extra scrubbing right down at the end. And I'll slide right off onto my finger. Start getting the scratches all going kind of one direction, softening up a little bit, lightening up a little bit on my approach. A little bit of marker still showing up here down at the back end. There we go. I'll do the other side same. It's not as fast, but sometimes I do like to do one side at a time. And I'll use my thumb or my finger, whatever seems to work. Many times I do flip the thing around and actually work towards me, so I can put my finger right here on the side of the blade as I work. That's what works for me. These are all just my opinions. They're all subject to change. This is just what I've found that works for me as I try and, if you just want to get it sharp, you don't have to do a lot of this stuff. If you're trying to get a really as perfect as you can, or see how far you can take it, these are some things that might help you. Okay, Sharpie is gone. This side's still got a little Sharpie left to go. Making sure that I keep the width of the bevel the same along the entire length as well. The other reason I like to keep my hands down below is in case I slip or anything like that. You know, there's no real, I'm not really concerned about it. I've yet to, the thing that I've had the closest calls with is actually coming back into the point. And this to me is almost more dangerous than this top edge, because you forget it's there and you can jab into it. So I always just kind of go away, that sort of thing, and then I'll put my finger against the opposite side to make sure I don't roll that tip over. That works well for me. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, flip over to the 100 grit, which will, all my stones are pretty well worn in except for this rough pair of hundreds. So after that I'll go 100, 200 on the worn in paddles, and I'll show you what that looks like under the scope here. Before I go down any further, this is still after just the coarse 100 grit. I thought this was worth showing. This is all the Sharpie markers been removed. You can see some chipping out along the top edge, and we'll take care of that a little bit down the road. As I scroll along the blade, you can see some places where it's a little chipped out. But up here, so there's no Sharpie, we're apexed, and then you come right down here towards the tip. And this is the tip that we don't want to, sorry guys, I'm trying here. There we go. Oh, for goodness sakes. And there's the Sharpie, it's still there, and this is right at the tip. You literally can't hardly see this with the naked eye, but this is what you want to remove. You want to make sure you get all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to try keep going here. Coarse 100 grit has been set. We could see there was quite a little bit of chipping out. Now I'm going to just do this. We're going to learn together. This is something I've been doing with a lot of my recent blades, and I like the way it works. I'm going to take a, let's just say we take the 800 grit side of this paddle, and I'm going to, not harshly, but I'm going to gently reflatten that again. It'll do two things. It'll remove all the chips. It'll get us back down. We have a nice flat surface then to bring the apex in one more time with the finer grits that are much less likely to chip out that edge. And also it'll make sure that we get down to just a little bit of fresh steel. And that's 800 grit. I don't expect it's going to do anything very deep, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that right now. Okay, here's the coarse 100 grit edge, and then you can see how the top's been flattened off. And I will do this again up at 1000 grit, but I think this will set us up for me just to walk up through the worn in paddles for 100, 200, 400, 600, 800, and 1000. And so I'll go ahead and we'll get back over to the sharpening. This is just my own habit. I tend to scrub up and down, and I count to 20. So I go something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I go back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I do this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I'll start doing my scratch pattern. The last time the scratch pattern was done this way, and so I will go ahead and I'll be doing the scratch pattern that goes down towards the back. Or I'll scratch, and maybe I did do it this way last time. Let's go down into the front with this one. And a lot of times, instead of just doing a swipe, 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 I tend to work one-sided, and so I'll actually just scrub but I'm keeping my scratch pattern all going in the same direction. Since the edge is apex, well, we removed the apex, so I'm trying to re-apex it. Making sure to roll off that tip in a flat motion. And really from here on out, it's all about scratch removal. And you can hear it sometimes when you hit some parts that haven't been, the old scratches haven't been removed. Should do it. Let's go ahead and take a peek under the scope. Okay, here we are under the scope. You can see that apex is almost back down to 0. It's thinned right back out. It only took a few seconds, a few passes. I think my elapsed time on this knife so far is maybe 15 minutes in between turning off and on the camera and things like that. So that's a nice way to start. If you start out with this and you're happy with how you start, I'm almost guaranteed you're going to be happy right up to the end, as long as you keep track of your scratch lines. I'm going to go ahead and do this a little bit more. Then we'll switch over to the 200 grit, go the opposite direction, show a little bit of that on camera, and then we'll check the scope again. Be right back. Down. Let's flip to the 2s. I'm going to go the opposite direction first. I'm going to do my scrubs up and down. Again, it's just my habit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we're going to go the opposite direction. And this shouldn't take too long at all. Yikes, watch that. That's what I mean. That tip is more dangerous than anything about this thing. If you're going back and forth scrubbing, that's where you can come off the end of the tip and then come back. Safest way, of course, is just to do this, but I don't do that. I like to scrub right down to the tip and come back in edge leading most of the time, but the edge trailing away will definitely be safer for you and me. I know at least part of the knife apex because I just saw a tiny little thin wisper of burr come off the top where it meets together and then a little piece comes off, which is much better than it chipping out. Also means we're probably about where we need to be. Okay, let's check that on the scope. Okay, here we are on the scope. You can see there's still a little bit of the up and down from the original, and then most of mine are going bottom left to upper right. So I'm going to go ahead and scrub a little bit longer, and then we'll check it one more time. But that was really quick. You can see how quick it goes. It doesn't long. Okay, this was 20 more strokes with another 20 strokes for good luck. I don't like to remove more metal than you need to. The second 20 strokes were softer. Possibly that's the shallower angle. All of the scratches are going in one direction, so I'm pretty happy. And we're going to go ahead and I'll do the 400, 600 next. Okay, let's go flip over to the 400, 600s. Go ahead and do the wipe down the blade, wipe down the stones. I honestly don't worry about this as much as some people do, only because as you get further down, that's when I start to really pay attention to that sort of thing. So the last time we went up and away this way, I'm going to go down and away this way. First, I'm going to go scrub up and down 20 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I do that. I just feel like it breaks up the scratch pattern that's in there. Helps soften, get ready. Again, it's just my technique. It also it's a way I've found that seems to work without having to do 100 strokes, or you don't know. I know this works, so I go down for 10, up for 10, and then I'll go ahead and start doing the side to side at an angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Just trying to give a rough idea. I never really pay attention. I do it mostly by feel. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then just walk down the end of the blade. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Do the whole blade. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, but that's going to be 10 per side. And let's take a look at what that did. And there you go. See? So it doesn't take a lot once you get down past the initial stuff. Okay, so that was what it was for that. I'm going to flip over to the 600, and we'll go ahead and do that next. So we went that way. I'll go the other way after I do my 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I do push pretty hard on those. Okay, that was 20 per side. And now if we take a look at it with the scope. Beautiful. Nice and clean. That was at 600. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do 800 and 1,000, and we'll be right back. Okay, there's the 800. $1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then I'll do the 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, that's the bulk of the work right there. Now we get to the fun part. I'm going to go ahead and try and put it on the scope again. And there we have it. Let's go ahead and run up and down the whole blade. All scratches going up and to the right. Let's go down and check that tip. Oh, see there? Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be there. So we do have some more tip work, and that's where I you saw it on the video. This is where I didn't do quite as much as I could. So I'm going to do another 20 right there, and we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I did 20, 30 more passes. This is an interesting point. Even with the bushings in the paddle, this is what happens. And it becomes really, the error becomes magnified as you go further down. The slight wobble in the paddle on the rod can cause what is known as multifaceting. So even though I'm going the same direction, you can see where the scratches at the top of the blade are at a slightly different angle from the scratches at the bottom. And we want this entire surface to be one flat piece, especially if you're going for a mirror finish. This will kill you later. And sorry for the camera work. This is a $20 camera on low magnification, and I'll jump it up into high magnification later, but it's easier to work with at this setting. So I got to flatten this entire thing out. I may try and do that with lapping films on glass. Since we have all the previous scratch marks removed, that's my primary concern. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and try and jump over to lapping films on glass and see if we can't get this bevel to smooth out for us. And I'll be right back. Okay, phase 2. What I like to call the fun phase. I've just got another video where I show using this. This is the double-sided sticky tape. It's 3/4 inches wide. What I have is a paddle that is glass, and then I've put the double-sided sticky tape on it. We're making sure it's really clean at this point. I wiped it down, dust-free. The tape was dust-free. That's a big thing. It's double-sided sticky tape, so it will get dust stuck to it if you leave it lying around your shop, as I found out the hard way. So I had to remove, get down to some fresh tape. Now that I've got the tape on the paddle, there's a chart called the Grand Unified Grit Chart, which I have on the wall over behind me, and maybe I'll cut to that and show you what we're looking at. On this grit chart, if we go down to where the 1000 grit wicked edge stones are and we go across, you can see that lines up with about P3000 grit sandpaper. I'm going to go back up a grit. Sorry, it's so shaky here. There we go. I'm going to go back up to the P2500, which is about 8.5 microns, and then I'll go to the P3000, and then from there I would go down through. These are the lapping films here, the 1200, 400, 600, 800, or 8000, 6000, 8000. These are equivalent to 1 micron, 2 micron, 3 micron. That's where the lapping films come in. But for right now, we want this P grits, which are automotive sandpaper grits. Actually, the P1500 and the P2000 are much lower than your standard wicked edge stones. Wicked edge stones are right here, sorry. So 400, 600, 800. So you're actually in the P1500 would be closer to 800 grits. Since we're a 1000 grit stone and it was a finely worn stone, I could probably just go right to P3000, but they're so easy and fun to use. I'm just going to go ahead and try and start right here at the P2500. All right, I'll quit shaking the camera and get us back to sharpening. Okay, sharpening with these things is just as easy as that. Here's the P2500. I'll set it, they're cut a little bit wider than the glass. I'll just set it down and lay it right out, and then I like to bend over and fold the edges. And these are inexpensive, so I don't mind using them. I think it was $2 a sheet, and I get 18 strips per sheet. So they're just under 10 cents each, or just over 10 cents each. Also worth noting that this is my final paddle. This is the only, from here to the end of whatever level I decide to stop at, this is the same paddle, the same thickness that I'm going to use for the rest of it. So I don't have to deal with variable stone thicknesses and those multi-bevel things ever again. So if I can get this thing back down by holding it in a consistent manner at the bottom, applying pressure to the bottom, it hardly, I mean, it may look like it's wiggling around on the camera, but the chatter is minimal. This thing doesn't wiggle around, spins freely, it's nice and smooth. So if I can hold it at the bottom and use nice even strokes, I should be able to. And I go edge leading. You gotta be careful, sometimes it'd probably be better actually if I just go edge trailing here. And what I'm gonna try and do is by putting my palm pressure at the bottom of this paddle, I'm going to try and really flatten this bevel out, and this should give us a really nice scratch pattern. I'll go ahead and do this for a few minutes, and I'll be back and we'll check it on the scope. Okay, a couple quick side notes. First off, if you are like me, I went ahead and I made my own glass platen for my paddle. I had the glass lying around, and I just cut it to size. I softened the edges with the diamond paddles, and then I glued them on. I used super glue, and while I was sanding here off camera, the platen fell out. I heard it go clink, and it fell right out. It didn't break. So instead of using super glue, I would recommend using like a Gorilla Glue, putting some light pressure on it, something that's going to be maybe not so brittle as the super glue was. So that happened. And the good news, I've got the edge, if it'll focus, I'm going to zoom in. I wanted to show you this. It's worth, only if you're going for the mirror edge later on. It has to do with the line that separates the secondary and the primary, or the shoulder. And you can see this one little spot where the light is glinting right there. There's a couple little spots along the edge where that's happening. It's glinting. If you don't take the extra time to polish those out perfectly flat, they'll come back and bite you later on. I'll show you why under the scope here real quick. Okay, here's our edge at 2500. That's the P2500 grit automotive sandpaper. Here's the tip, somewhere down here. There's one little chip. I'm gonna have to get rid of that. But we're back to a flat surface. And then if you come up here, if you look at where the secondary bevel, the shoulder where it meets the actual stone wash of the blade, somewhere back up in here, I think it's right up in here somewhere, you'll find what's causing that glint. That's just goobers. It's where the edge isn't crisp, and it'll come back to you later on.
And it only takes a few extra seconds to polish that out. So that's what I recommend doing. Right there, that's what you're seeing, is that little bit of haze. And that's where it's not quite flat all the way down. So you can get a real crisp edge. You just need to do it for another 30 seconds or so. It's almost there, but it's not quite. And that's where you'll get that little odd glint along the secondary bevel shoulder area. I'm going to go ahead and do something else radical. I'm going to take a ceramic stone and knock that top edge off one more time. And then we'll go ahead and use some lapping films and see what happens. Okay, similar to what I did at 100 grit where I reflattened off the apex, I am just trying this out. And again, my scope won't go down this low. Let me go ahead. You can see how the top edge is a little flat. It's barely flat. And the cutting ability of the silicon carbide automotive sandpapers is such it gives that uniform scratch pattern, and it shouldn't have no problem re-apexing this. I plan to put a micro bevel on top as well. This will just remove any irregularities, and up here towards the tip I did it so it would get rid of that chip. And you can still see a little hump in it, but by the time it's re-apexed it should be fine. Sorry, it's not focusing very well here. It's just important when going side to side to also keep the pressure in your preferred method. Again, I like to go hold it towards the bottom. You can see it buffing out little foggy spots and anything else that might have been in the way. This is a quick way to really make a blade look like it's a lot shinier than it is. And it doesn't take much. And the extra little bit you do is going to make sure that okay, that's all there is to it. Okay, I'm going to cut here and I'll show you. Okay, here's the satin finish when you go side to side. That's at still at 2500. I decided to go ahead and do it a little differently. Okay, let's finish this thing. Okay, as the last couple final steps, I am going to go with P1500. I'm going to kick it out, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, lock it back down. Then I'm going to go edge leading, firm pressure. 1, 2. Flip it around so I can get to both sides. 1, 2. And I'll do one more each side. 1, nice. And 2. Oop, snag my paper. And 2. Oh yeah. Okay, we are done with the lapping films. As a final step for this one today, I'm gonna go ahead and blow it off, wipe it down. Decontaminate the area. Make sure it's as clean as it can be. And I've got a new strop. This is a nano cloth, never been used nano cloth strop. And I'm going to use some 0.25 micron diamond paste. And I've had really good luck with this diamond paste. Let me get a Q-tip for this, and I'll get the strop loaded, and we'll be right back. Okay, this is the new nano cloth strop. I've put the 0.25 micron diamond paste on it, and let's give it a try. Let's give it its maiden voyage. First impressions are it's very soft and smooth, very silky. Of course, I've got a lot of extra paste buildup. I'm sure that'll dry and wear in. I did wash my hands thoroughly as well. So I still want to leave a little bit of that tooth that was on there from the 1500 grit paper. But this is just the final little, oh yeah, hey, I like that. Light, medium pressure, just want to strop it a couple times. I don't suppose it could hurt to kick this back down and go, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. This should go back down, polish the primary bevel a little bit too. Sorry, secondary bevel. There we go. There we go. The backside's balsa too. I'm going to be playing around with that. I have a whole series of strop experiments I'm planning to do here in the near future. For now, that's about it. That's how I would go ahead and sharpen this knife. If you wanted to take it to a mirror finish, basically it would be the same exact thing, just going down through 12 or 9 micron lapping film to start, and then 6, 3, 1, 0.3, going side to side, going edge trailing. Checking the scope is really an invaluable tool for 20 bucks. Even the El Cheapo scopes, I know it's not the best, but it doesn't take the best photographs, but the live camera action really can show you what's going on. And it was only $20. And that way I'm able to see exactly what sort of a deal we got. I'm very happy with that. I'll finish with one final shot of the edge, and hope everyone has a great day. Okay, here's my finished product for today. Again, this is just my knife. I'm missing a few lapping films, if you're wondering why. It would have been the same thing for another half hour. Lapping film. Here you can see the satin edge. You can see the kind of the white line along the top. That's going to be the micro bevel. Having trouble with it focusing a little bit. Maybe I can take some still shots and I'll post them up. That will show tip was able to save the tip. Everything else is looking pretty good. Anyways, that's how I would do it. Hope that helps. And thanks for everybody for watching.